I'm shaking my head. No, I went to a nutritionist. This is really, my husband has been my coach for a good while on tour, and the reason was because it was so tough for me to travel by myself. And so one day I came home and I said to my husband, I said, I'm done. I said, this is too difficult. We'd only been married about a year.
Okay.
And he said to me, okay, Liezel, what's your plan B? And I said, I don't have a plan B. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go into my job tomorrow and I'll quit, and then I'll tell the owner that I can't teach here anymore and I'll travel with you. Well, that's the best decision we ever made. Having said that, I'm just giving you a little bit background here, Aaron. And having said that, it was also a very difficult decision because now my husband had to tell me, Liezel, don't eat this and don't eat that. Well, he wasn't comfortable with that. So I just remember one year at the US Open, I had qualified in singles. Yes, I did play singles. I had qualified in singles and won a round in the main draw, or was about to go play my match, and I had a loaded baked potato. In America, a loaded baked potato is with everything on it. Forget really that you're having potato because you're having all that junk with it. The sour cream and the cheese and the bacon and butter and all of that. And that night he said to me, I must have not won my match, but that night he said to me, Liezel, you need to go seek a nutritionist. And he told me later on, he said that's one of the most difficult things he had to do. As a husband, to tell me that I eat bad.
Right.
And so that's exactly what I did after the US Open. I came and seek a nutritionist, and when I walked in there, of course my defenses were up, this is a tender subject, just like my mental side was. I knew this is something I needed to improve largely. And she said to me, Liezel, I need you to start eating chicken breast and turkey. And she mapped out the whole plan. And I said to her, sorry, I didn't eat that. And she said, sorry, then I can't help you. She said, a boxer came into her and said to her that he's a vegetarian, and she said she won't work with him. So the point is, you have to do what you think is best for you.
Sure.
But in the bottom line, as an athlete, I think that diets have changed over the years. Of course, a lot of people are eating gluten-free, and you have to do what works for you. But at the same time, you have to know what you need. And I know, I guess the baked potato didn't work for me, and that's why I needed to make the change. Having said that, she said, Liezel, find a way that you will eat chicken. Find a way, whether you shred it, dice it, chop it, bake it, roast it, whatever. And you know what? And I found a way. And believe it or not, this week I've already had chicken breast twice. Doesn't mean I love it, but I know that I need to eat it. And that's what athletes do. If you're really serious about getting that result, and you're really serious about doing your best and giving your best, it's the entire package, like that chart that I was talking to you about. So to get back to your question, in a roundabout way, I don't know. I don't know of you. There might be one vegan tennis player, and I don't know them. But it's one thing if you have an allergy. But I think really that we need to try and get all the nutrients in an easy way, because we don't always have access to a kitchen. So. And maybe next time, Aaron, we can touch on this, is, we do a lot of supplements and we do a lot of shakes, and that's to get the extra in that we don't get on the road.
Sure.
So don't quote me, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm just telling you what's worked for me and what hasn't.
Okay, fantastic. Well, BW Cam, I hope that answers your question. JP, just to bring you back in, I know with regards to the current tennis, we've been talking about we thought Djokovic had a good chance of winning the US Open. Liezel, guys, have you been keeping up with the Toronto Masters and seeing Djokovic? What do you make of that, both of you?
Aaron, you're very far from the microphone, I think.
There we go. JP, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just sort of having a little look at what, because he lost, didn't he, Djokovic? Is that right?
He lost to Tsonga 6-2, 6-2, and I think he just got married, didn't he, Liezel, after Wimbledon, and he's had a bit of time out. So, I mean, what do you make of the performance, JP?
Well, I haven't watched the performance, but I just noticed that Tsonga's gone on to beat Murray as well. Yeah. So, he could have just run into him at the wrong moment, if you like. He's obviously in some good form, and it could have just been one of those days where, I suppose when you play players like Djokovic, like Murray, like Federer on their best, to beat them as another player, you've got to play at your absolute optimum and hope that they have an off day. And I can only imagine that's sort of what's happened, and I suppose that's part of sport, really.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I do feel as well the fact it could have been a bit of a letdown for Djokovic from Wimbledon as well. I think he's obviously just got married, he had his honeymoon and stuff like that. He's got back into it, and as you say, Tsonga is dangerous on a given day. I do think Murray and Djokovic. I think Brad Gilbert tweeted it was 58 matches in a row they'd gone unbeaten against a French player, and then in one tournament they both lose. It's funny, isn't it, how sport works sometimes?
It certainly is, yes. And sometimes you can not disregard what's gone before, but it doesn't. I know a lot of the players say, look, it doesn't matter. I might have scored runs here or played it well before, but it doesn't matter because at the start of every day. So I'm aware, and I'm quoting also exactly what Kevin Peterson said to me in an interview yesterday, but you start at zero at any given day. So,
exactly.
It's an interesting sort of way for that run to end, but how much to do with it?
I also think just, as a fellow athlete, I think, we scrutinize each other's performance all the time, and of course, I'm not making any excuses, these guys are the best. But it doesn't mean when they're having an off day that they're not going to win the US Open or that's the end of their career. I mean, you can cut them some slack. I mean, Murray has some great days. There's some days you go out there and maybe for these guys it's a lot more than for players like myself. But really in my whole career there was a handful of matches where you feel like you can't miss a ball that day. Now when we look at them, we think that's every day because they're such amazing tennis players. But they also have things that they're working on and they want to get better with, or they have personal things going on. So I still think that Djokovic, Murray, Federer, and Nadal, they're the top dogs, and another guy might have a great day and take them out. Doesn't mean that's the end of their career, or they're still not. I mean, these guys are making history. These guys are just amazing. Having said that, I think on the women's side, we have a lot of dark horses, and with Azarenka being out for a while now and not being so match fit yet, I think she can be a dark horse also going into it. I played a team tennis match with her, and she's striking the ball pretty good, and Serena's in top form this week in Stanford, and I just want to let you guys know I'm at home right now, and I'm recouping from an injury, and honestly, besides me following the live scores, I haven't seen a tennis ball being hit. And we have what we call the tennis channel here, which is amazing. You can watch tennis 24/7. You don't even have to go and sleep. But I haven't seen any actual matches, so I can't even tell you just from gauging from the results how everybody is playing. But it's a fun time in the States. It's kind of like the start of the year in Australia. There's this buzz. It's the tennis season, and all like the British summer with the tennis, and this is how it is in the States. Everybody's glued to the TV, or they have a plan to go visit a tournament, and the weather is perfect, and this is really just the US summer circuit. It's just a fun time of the year for us Americans.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to have been to the US Open a few times to watch it, and it's they're both amazing in their own ways, aren't they? US Open and Wimbledon, they're so unique too, and as a fan to go there and to see it, and obviously as a player, I guess you must soak that up as well, isn't it? Two completely different atmospheres to play in. No, I was just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Liezel.
Yeah. Aaron, I got to run, but I just want to let you all know, thanks for having me today, and I look forward to coming back next week or the week thereafter if you'll have me. And JP, nice meeting you. I just want to commend you guys for paying it forward, for giving your view and having this passion, and it's people like you guys that make a difference. So I really appreciate it, and I like to be associated with you guys, and listeners, if any of you have any questions, whether they're nice or not so nice, I'll take them and I'll answer them. And like I told you, I'm recouping. I had knee surgery a week ago, and it's definitely unexpected. And Liezel, why do you have surgery a few weeks before the US Open? well, if I can't compete at my highest level, then I need to get fixed. And I didn't think that I was in fit shape for the US Open. So, I have this battle on my hands right now. And at the same time, I'm taking the best from it. I'm spending time with my family, and I'm focusing on my other businesses, and I get to chat with you guys. So I really appreciate having me today, and I wish you guys all a wonderful weekend.
Thanks a lot, Liezel. We wish you all the best.
Thanks ever so much.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Take care, bye-bye.
Take care,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
JP, bye-bye.
Okay.
Great, so that was a very interesting insight, wasn't it, JP, into the life of a professional tennis player?
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. There's so many different elements there, from the sort of mental side of things to the nutrition to the way that obviously she looks at games completely different to the way that I look at games, for example, and quite rightly so, having played at that highest level. So really interesting contribution.
And I think she made a very interesting point there just now, because obviously, we look at Djokovic, we're worrying, but as she said, realistically, we almost take it for granted, don't we, that someone like Tsonga is a number 15 guy in the world. So if he does pull off a win against Djokovic and Murray, because we almost come to expect it we almost expect greatness from the greats week in, week out. So just one loss doesn't kind of mean that all of a sudden he's not going to win the US Open or he's not going to be a favourite. And she kind of put it into quite a nice perspective there, I thought.
Yeah, I think spot on, because we are in, I think, statistically the greatest era of men's open tennis there ever has been, with the 3 or 4 players at the very top. So yeah, we probably do sort of take it for granted a little bit, and probably expect a little bit much. But well, what can we say? As sports fans, we're a bit greedy sometimes.
It's true, actually. I think Andy Roddick once said that. I think when he was retiring from the game, he was around 20 something in the world, and someone hinted to him that would you prefer to be near the top of the game? And what Roddick basically said was, well, if I was in any sort of team sport like football or something like that, if I'm 20 in the world, I'm like an elite player and playing in one of the main Premiership teams. But in tennis, of course, if you're not in the top 3, top 4, no one thinks of you as elite, which is, they almost get a short straw in some ways, don't they, tennis players?
Yeah, and there's also that sort of thing when you're sort of comparing sports. Yeah, he's got a good point, but you have to sort of look at everything separately for me.
Yeah,
it's about redefining. So actually, yes, you've got the top 4, but if you're in the top 100, let's be honest, you're an exceptionally good player. Yeah. So maybe it's a little bit of sort of redefining how we look at things.
Yeah, I think there is that too, isn't there? I think there's a lot of that in tennis. It's like your Nadals, your Murrays, your Djokovic's, your Federers. I think a lot of the real regular tennis fans, week in, week out, they'll have their other players like your Dimitrovs, your Wawrinkas, but a lot of people who are maybe just casual fans, it's the big names, it's those 4 guys who are really going to sort of get people watching, and at the end of the day, the game, I don't want to say needs them, but it's important that they stay around for a while, I think, for the game, because it's a great era that we've got right now.
I mean, any sport needs the top players to put bums on seats to sell things. If you look at tennis, obviously you've got the top players. You've got cricket, it is your people like your Petersons, your Chris Gales, your players like that. Football, your Ronaldos, your Rooneys, etc. You do need them. You do want them to be on top form and fit and firing, because it does everybody good.
Completely. Well, moving obviously, we had a good session on tennis, and I hope you tennis fans out there enjoy it. And any more questions for Liezel, then just use the hashtag. I'm sure she'll get in touch. But moving on to a bit of cricket, JP. Obviously, we've had quite a lot going on with the Test match and the Caribbean Premier League. I know that you spoke to KP, which guys you can actually check out on cricketworld.com. JP's interview with KP. It was very well worth a listen. So, what have you made about what's been going on with the Test match? First of all, JP.
Well, it's been a very fast-moving Test match, despite only getting 36 overs in yesterday. Pity that the drainage isn't quite what it should be up at Old Trafford, that little section of the ground. But you've got to give all credit to England. It was a good